I recently put out my comparison and review for the Sonic side of Sonic Shadow Generations, and I've got a ton of extra footage. In doing these videos, I have the opportunity to look at these games much more thoroughly than I would if I were just playing them normally. And in the process, I come across some oddities that, at least to me, are interesting. So while I finish up the Shadow Gens review, let's explore what I've got. Don't expect anything groundbreaking or any massive secrets. Essentially, you can look at this as one of those unsubstantial and strange places in whatever game videos, just without all the existential posturing. It's crazy to think this ledge is just kind of here, and we run by it each time without really thinking about it. I mean, someone had to put this here. Someone developed this. But why? We're just kind of here. If a tree falls and Sonic doesn't hear it, does that mean he was traveling faster than the speed of sound? You'll typically speed through these levels as fast as you can, so a lot of what we'll look at is the result of slowing down and smelling the pointy yellow sunflowers. At the start of Green Hill, we'll be in an auto run scene, but as soon as we take control, we're going back. Where did we come from? There is some Green Hill behind us, though I'd be surprised if it connects. What's most interesting to me, though, is this giant tiki head. They could have just left it empty, but this fills our unattainable entrance perfectly. Nice touch. A similar backtrack can be seen just after our fish escape. Sonic has a tough time with this slope. Nothing a boost can't solve. This spot is so picturesque. Just look at the framing of it all. It's also a great spot to watch the clouds roll by. You'll also notice we have the 3D camera while in a 2D movement. That can be explored further after this ramp. Going back, it's just a plain wall, but there's a specific point where the camera shifts. There is an invisible funnel to narrow his movement to the center for the 2D cam. If we're gonna take it slow, we could learn a lesson from the Moto bugs. They'll waltz along, even turn around a few times, but eventually, they'll make their way down this strip of grass. Crabmeat, however, are more accustomed to walking side to side. And man, is their aim something. Crazy how a 300 IQ genius programmed these things. Do you ever replay a level and try to collect every ring? Turns out, that's not a possibility in this stage, as there's one ring on this twisty loop that cannot be obtained. No matter how you approach it, it will forever remain out of Sonic's grasp. If we pause in the air, we can see that this line of rings is at a slight angle, moving away from the camera. That final ring's shadow is in an entirely different row, going by the checkerboard floor. This isn't new to the X-Shadow version either, cause here's the PS3 game with the exact same evasive ring. To finish off modern Sonic's starting level, let's just look at the incredible detail seen at the peak of Green Hill. Beautiful. Let's backtrack to Act 1. Some people like to finish Sonic levels as quickly as possible. I, on the other hand, like to jump at the top of a loop to see which side I'll end up on. Without momentum, Sonic will do this funny little twirl as he realizes he won't make it over. In the old games, I'd spend a lot of time trying to trick the game into thinking I was on a different layer. That's how loops and ground splits worked, by activating the layer you're meant to be running on. There's something similar in Generations. Two paths merge, leading to the big loop. I came from the top path, so it's more inclined to send me that way while turning back. But with some effort, I can get onto the lower one. now it defaults to that direction, but I can of course change it again. Cool stuff. This boardwalk is a location I really like. Once over the loop, Sonic goes into a sort of auto run as he spirals down. But you can turn back and walk it at your own accord. This spot right here is cool, as you can stop and have classic Sonic face you straight on. Notice his eyes are still to the side, since his normal "I'm waiting" pose still has him shown in a profile view towards the rest of the level. This is a neat place to walk, but what if we were to glide? With Supersonic, I could break out of that auto run and hover around the vertical boardwalk. Alright, enough of that. Let's finish the level. If we inch towards the sign and spin it while stationary, Sonic will fly by the level's end while standing still. Let me slow that down. Even if we finish while moving slowly, we can see that his feet are clearly raised, so this standing trick isn't just a trick of the eyes. Let's pick those feet up and head to Chemical Plant. Why'd it start like that? That's better. So we have another auto run start, but this one goes from 2D to 3D. Despite that, once we turn around, we can see that we are in the 2D view, but we're not locked to 2D control. The platform's so narrow, there's not even much to do in 3D, but I did find a cool place to go. With a boost and a jump, we can technically get onto this giant blocking platform. An invisible wall holds us to the corner, but we can walk the length of it until that floor gives out. These two tubes on either side are an intentional design of the level, but they inspired much of my exploration in this zone. This left path leads us to a section with a completely useless small platform. Interesting. Backtracking those side tubes leads to nothing of note, but falling when doing so reveals that this tank has full collision. The big one on the other side is set up just the same, so what about the two smaller ones just ahead? Well, they also have collision, but the death plane sits just above them, so Sonic preemptively when he could have otherwise landed safely. These catwalks near the beginning are off limits, but further on in the level, this one on the right is easy to access. We can even go around the tower completely, though we're blocked at this big pipe. Going to the tower on the left is much trickier though. In the process, I managed to fall, then land on an invisible floor. There's a great view of the lesser seen parts of Chemical Plant. This clear floor also comes with a wall, so we can run along the side, bringing that camera along for a 360 view. And some jumps will finally let us out. For a more intentional location, we can drop down at this first bounce pad to find an even lower bounce pad. This failsafe is odd to me, since I can't really see anyone accidentally falling here unless you walk for whatever reason. For something not intentional, here's a glitch where I'm launched at the side of the silo instead of inside it. He does his normal skydiving, but that floor just isn't there. Finally, here's a mishap I just find funny, continually getting stuck on the larger moving blocks. Classic has one place of note. I found an unintended platform. The camera doesn't like it at first. You will see Sonic's towards the back of it, but will change his course to be on a closer layer. This then allows him to land safely down below. But I went there another time, the camera got worse, and Sonic stayed near the back. That makes it so that when he falls, he slips right past that ground we landed on before. Heading up to Sky Sanctuary, I was expecting to find a lot here due to the very open nature of this floating level, but surprisingly, there are more invisible walls than you'd think. The very start of the level launches us off this rail, so there's no going back up. We're enclosed in this section except for the small window we came through. Here, we have access to this grass patch, and the small lip on the other side of the railing. I even managed to get on this corner, but there's nowhere to go from here. Here, we can see Sonic's shadow phasing through solid stone. I wanted so badly to land on that low poly altar in the distance. Obviously, that was never going to happen, but here's about the closest view of it we'll get. Finally, after taking this transporter up, we can look down below to see just the other side of it. I'm sure you already knew this, but I found out for myself on accident that you can grab onto this speed highway helicopter for a ride. Cool stuff. Further on, there's a failsafe beneath the sideways building run I never ran into until I started looking for intriguing places. A rooftop patio fenced in between two buildings, with a curvy walkway featuring a bell, an enclosed window view, then a tunnel leading us back where we came from. Looks like a nice place to live, but where would I park? Well, we'd need a place to drive first, and this highway has cars appearing from the pit below. They won't stop for us either. Hey, can't you see this as a hedgehog crossing? In Classic's half of the level, he'll show us a subtle difference in how the new game and the original handle the physics. Strangely, New Classic comes away from the loop, while Old Classic sticks to it like he should. You won't notice this difference in the majority of the game, but here's the chemical plant example I used in the main video. Sticking to Speed Highway though, here's a neat little camera glitch I got one time. Sonic lands facing the camera head on, and everything seems normal. But up ahead, we get that alternate angle again. Really cool to see, though it is hard to do platforming with this view. This continues into the hallway where I eventually jump out. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to recreate this bug. City Escape is a great level for exploration with its very open park sections. Ironically though, there's not much to point out. I like this area in front of Coffee Blaze and Tails Pizza that the camera realistically doesn't need to turn to. And these flower beds give us a nice view overlooking the neighborhood. The snowboard section at the start wants to keep us moving, but it is possible to grind to a halt. Here, I got lots of air for no good reason. And this brick wall put me into a pretty sick flip. When we get back to the street on foot, there's a powerful effect we have on the cars. Even hitting them with little effort will cause them to totally explode. That is wild. Where was this move when our roadway was blocked? Right outside of City Escape, we can see a comparison that's right up my alley. What, you didn't notice? Those untextured tabs for the blue house's awning were not clipped away in the original game. Well, they are in the new. This also goes for the railing on the balcony, where you could see the outline of each post, though they're not cut out. Seaside Hill is another good exploration level, mainly due to our ability to run on water. Nothing of note in the first section, but upon turning once again to 3D, we can backtrack for a solid platform. What makes this spot intriguing to me is that it's another one you would never really land on by accident, yet there's a very intentional way back in the form of these bounce pads. What's more is there is a short trail of rings over the water between these pillars. Going to the other side, we'll even get the triangle prompt for a lightspeed dash, but I wasn't able to actually activate it. Further on, there's a section that leads to a cannon, and you'll likely just jump in and continue the level. But did you know there's a secret cave to the left? I totally overlooked this at first, even when exploring, as the camera didn't pan to reveal it. It was after backtracking in the next section I managed to find it. It's a very narrow cavern that really makes me think of that Kingdom Hearts Destiny Island cave. There's small glimpses of the level above, 3 sparsely placed spike beds, and a very small patch of water to boost over. A strange but cool place. The shore this leads to is just as remote, as the only way to get here is from that cave or boosting around the gate near that aforementioned cannon. Just for fun, I tried landing on that small rock out in the water, but unsurprisingly, it had no collision. Just past here is the 2-tiered wall you'll probably recognize, and turning back leads to that ledge I teased in the beginning. All jokes aside, it is an odd, lonely place you'll probably never reach organically. And look how that 3rd spring clips into the rock wall. I've only one thing here for Classic, and it's not reliant on the level. At one point, I attempted to go super in the middle of a jump. This locked the controls and took away Sonic's upward momentum, landing me in the spikes. So Sonic loses his rings and cancels his transformation. Now this is totally fair, as at the time of impact, Sonic hadn't yet turned golden, and without 50 rings, he can't transform. I just find it interesting it doesn't activate the invincibility right when the button is pressed. Outside of the level is a comparison briefly shown in the main video, but Classic Tails' position is changed slightly in this cutscene to bring him closer to the camera. I'm not sure why. In the text, I also stated how his tail now clips into the camera, so I'll pause it so you can see. His tail also clips into Classic Sonic as he's running, where it didn't before, so there's that. The Chaos fight is a really interesting boss battle because it plays more like a level in how it moves you forward, and even has save points. This also, to my knowledge, is the only place in the game that has water modern Sonic can stand in 3D. The relevance to that fact is that Sonic's jump height is altered by the water, adding to that jump height conversation I covered in my Generations Further Discussion video. Something else that's strange about this water is a few steps into walking in it, Sonic will briefly rise to the top, before sinking down again. Here's another 2D to 3D section, but instead of working as a funnel, it just slides Sonic to the center. Just before our second attack on Chaos, we're brought up high on a piece of a building, and this is a great spot to view the creature close up, and he can't even do anything to harm us. Now the idea here is to use those springs and a homing attack to strike his horn, but it is possible to jump over those springs and boost into him to attack, just like his other 2 hits. Lastly, I always found it interesting that this battle had us play as normal Sonic, when in the original fight it's referencing, we're Super Sonic. So wanting to authentically recreate the fight, I equipped the Supersonic skill set, collected 50 rings, and unfortunately, Super is disabled here. Dang. In Crisis City, this end-level sign fake-out has become rather notorious, but what would happen if we were able to move faster than the sign? Well, with the drop dash, that is possible. Though I'm sure it's not surprising that it doesn't actually let you finish the level early. I've always liked this small area where Sonic runs around the building, and you can actually slow down and walk freely on it. Nowhere really to go, but cool nonetheless. Here's the example I showed of Sonic not collecting his rings after a hit. One of Sonic's notable design features is his side mouth. As shown here, his mouth will move to whichever side is going to predominantly face the camera, especially for a pose. We can also see this in gameplay with a close-up of modern Sonic. So brace yourself for what I'm about to show you. Both of Sonic's side mouth locations are unfilled in this bugged scene. That's horrific. Thankfully it fixes itself once he turns his head. Rooftop Run is another great level to take it easy in. Walk around, take in the sights, maybe break a few tables. As classic, we get a more zoomed out level end, so here's another look at his standing finish. Much clearer this time. I love the lush green sections of Planet Wisp. Usually you'd boost straight forward, but there's a lot of walkable ground near the start. We can't get on this central pillar, but we can hop over these roadblocks. For Classic, in the more industrial section, I stumbled upon Schrodinger's spikes. I'm on them because they're lifting me, but I'm also off of them since I'm not getting hurt. At the level's end, if you go fast enough, there isn't enough time to properly zoom in, and we see Sonic run straight over the edge of the platform. This is how zoomed in it's meant to be. That's not a fluke though, cause blasting through a second time has the same result. Outside of Planet Wisp, Sonic found a good spot to work off his belly fat, turning an unassuming curved slope into a treadmill. There's also another fun move to do in white space, the slide boost. You have infinite boost here, so if you do a slide, pull back, and boost all together, you get this funny mobility. Well, I think that about does it for Oddities. Other than Sonic taking a bite of a chili dog, and it not disappearing for 7 frames. If you want to see comparisons, such as Silver now holding a chili dog, be sure to watch my Changes in Generations video. Otherwise, be on the lookout for the Shadow Generations review. Thanks for watching.